Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, the Friday edition, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, it's NFL Draft Weekend, so we're on the clock. Let's talk about draft picks here for a minute. How hard is it to be a first-round pick?
I was thinking about that when Ka'Deem Carey became a non-first-round pick.
Right.
How much better can you be in college football than Ka'Deem Carey was, and he wasn't even a whisper of a first-round draft pick. It got me to thinking about previous Tucsonans in any sport who weren't or were first-round picks. There's so few, and you have to be so good. I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Chris O'Dowd looked like everybody a first-round offensive lineman pick. He didn't even get drafted.
Right.
Adam Hall, how about him?
Yeah. Looks great in a uniform. Yeah.
Vanished. Vance Johnson 30 years ago was a second-round pick, but that was because he switched to receiver. He'd been a running back at Arizona, and if he'd have been a running back, he would have probably been a six-round pick. So it's pretty weird how it works.
It's totally strange. I mean, it's not just a football thing. You know, you can make the argument that Tucson is a baseball town when it comes to producing talent. Even in baseball, Tucson hasn't had a whole lot of first-round picks.
You know, Brian Anderson from CDO in the U of A was the last one. He went 17, and he became a fringe player for the White Sox and Red Sox. I mean, good for him. But the Duncan boys, if you ever saw the Duncan boys play when they were in high school at CDO, you would have said, how can these guys not be first-round draft picks? And they weren't.
Right.
It still boggles me that Shelley Duncan never was a full-time major league starter. I mean, the guy was the best amateur that I've ever seen in Tucson, and yet he wasn't. J.J. Hardy wasn't.
Ian Kinsler?
Ian Kinsler wasn't.
Ian Kinsler, the best second baseman in baseball right now, hands down, and has been for the last 5 years. Not a first-round pick.
I saw the best prospect in Tucson Tuesday at the Saguaro game, and it wasn't Verdugo. It was their third base coach, Sammy Khalifa.
Sure. And Sammy Khalifa is a little bit of a cautionary tale, too.
Right. He quit in the middle of his career, starting shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates when he was about 27 years old. He still looks like he could play. He's 50. But I went out to watch Alex Verdugo play, and a lot of the charts have him as a top 20 pick as a lefty pitcher or a hitter. He's not going to be either of those things. Wow. I mean, that's me as a draft evaluator. He's not a first-round pick.
Wow. This is Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. Ryan Finley here with Greg Hansen. Greg, why do you think a guy like Ka'Deem Carey was not even in the conversation? Is he just not part of the trendy offense in the NFL? Is he not prototypical? Or is it as simple as the fact that he was just a little slow?
You know, I watched last week, the Oregon-Arizona game was on the Pac-12 networks, that 60 Minutes thing, and I'd forgotten a lot about the game, and I watched for 10 minutes when Arizona was putting the game away, and Carey must have carried the ball 12 times, and every time I went, wow, he's not very fast, is he? Yeah. He's not very strong, is he? I think they just wore Oregon down that day, and Ka'Deem got a lot of those yards late, but he was not impressive in that film. He gained 208 yards against the Ducks. Yeah. That struck me. No wonder he's not a first-round pick.
It's crazy. Once again, production can only get you so far when there are talent evaluators watching your every move on tape.
So the best #1 draft pick in Tucson history is Sean Elliott.
Right.
3 overall, had a 10-year career, was an all-star. After that, it's pretty thin. John Fina, of all people, 10-year starter, played in the Super Bowls for the Buffalo Bills from South Point Catholic, wasn't an all-conference player at Arizona. He was a first-round pick. Sean Elliott, John Fina, that's about as good as you can get in Tucson.
So John Fina, if you're watching, you heard it here first. Greg Hansen thinks you're easily the best #1 football draft pick in Southern Arizona history. That'll do it for today's episode. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. This is Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. We'll see you next time.
At Domino's, we're slowing down to make our handmade pan pizza the right way, taking our time to hand press the fresh dough into the pan, adding 2 layers of cheese, and slowing our ovens down to get the crust golden and crispy. So try a Domino's handmade pan pizza with 2 toppings for just $7.99.